Hello, welcome to your next instructional video. Today we're going to be talking about dividing mixed numbers. In the last video you guys should have watched, you should have learned how to divide fractions. So now we're going to step it up a notch and we're going to learn how to divide mixed numbers. So starting off, you guys see this little star in the corner, which means you guys need to go ahead and copy this down after we're done talking about it. So I'll remind you again, but every time you see this star, that means it's probably important and you should definitely be taking notes on it. Okay, so let's talk about it first. Dividing a mixed number by a fraction. You can also use these steps to divide a mixed number by a mixed number, but we'll talk about that in a second as well. Step 1, you're going to change the mixed number into improper fractions. Remember that from multiplying mixed numbers, we can't multiply mixed numbers. We have to change them to improper fractions first. We're going to keep, change, flip. Hopefully you guys remember keep, change, flip. We're going to keep the first fraction, change the division sign to a multiplication sign, and we're going to flip the second fraction to its reciprocal. Then we just go about it and multiply the fractions like usual, and we write the quotient in simplest form. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on this one. So the first thing we have to do is we have to make sure they're both improper fractions or fractions. We can't use mixed numbers when we're dividing or multiplying. So I'm going to go ahead and go through those steps. I'm going to multiply the whole number by the denominator. I'm going to get 3 times 4, which is 12. Okay, and then I'm going to add the numerator, so plus 3. That gives me 15. So my new numerator is 15, and I keep my old denominator, which is 4. All right, and the other fraction is good to go because it's not a mixed number, so we can go ahead and just leave that the way it is. So I'm going to go ahead and clear that off. All right, and if you need a quick reminder of that, just make sure you write it down in your notes. All right, so now we're going to go about dividing fractions. So remember, the rules are to keep the first fraction the same, change the division sign to multiplication, and we're going to flip the other fraction, the second fraction. All right? So now this is our new problem. We're multiplying by the reciprocal instead of dividing. So now I'm going to multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom. And 15 times 5 is 75. And 4 times 4 is 16. Now this is called an improper fraction, okay, and we don't normally want to leave it as an improper fraction when we get to the quotient, when we get to the answer. So we're going to ask ourselves, how many times can 16 go into 75? So you'd kind of be thinking like this. How many times can 16 go into 75? Well, I know that 60 can go into 75 4 times evenly, and 4 times 16 is 64, okay? So we are 11 short when we subtract. So our mixed number is going to be 4 whole numbers because it can go in 4 times evenly with 11 over 16 as our what is left over. Okay? So hopefully this part where we change the improper fraction into a mixed number, you guys understand pretty well. And I want you guys to go ahead and copy down those steps in this example. So you can go ahead and pause the video and do that. And then next we're going to go on to another example. So you don't have to write this one down because we kind of did something similar just a second ago. But I'm going to run through another one just because, why not? 1 times 4. Then we add the 3. Now the reason I went ahead and jumped into that is because I know that I can't keep a mixed number. I can't divide or multiply with mixed numbers. So I have to change them to an improper fraction. So I'm going to multiply 1 times 4 to get 4. And then I'm going to add that numerator to get 7. So my new fraction is going to be 7 over 4. And I'm going to go ahead and keep my original 2 over 5 there. All right, now I'm going to keep the first fraction, change to multiplication, and flip my second fraction to its reciprocal. Okay, now remember this is all the steps whenever we're dividing fractions. So you have to keep, change, flip. Now we're going to multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. All right, 7 times 5 is 35. 4 times 2 is 8. This is the final answer, but we don't want to keep it as an improper fraction. So we're going to change this to a mixed number. We're going to see how many times can 8 go into 35. So we know that 8 can go into 35 4 times evenly. All right, so 8 times 4 is obviously going to be 32. So that means that we're 3 away with 8 as our denominator. Okay, so there's another situation, there's another problem. We follow the steps that we have written down in our notes. And let's go ahead and try another one. So here's something a little different. So after we're done with this problem, you can go ahead and copy it down. But I'll remind you. So just pay attention right now and follow along with me. So we have two mixed numbers here. And remember, we can't use mixed numbers when we're doing division or multiplication. So we're going to go ahead and change these mixed numbers into improper fractions again. We're going to do 5 times 2, which is 10. And then we're going to add the 1. Okay, and that gives us 11. So our new fraction is going to be 11 over 2. All right, we're going to do it again for this mixed number. 2 times 2 is 4. Then we add the numerator to give us 5. So now we have 5 over 2 is our second fraction. All right, so here's our new, oh, wait, I skipped a step. Backtrack. We have to keep it as division, and then we have to keep change. So I'm going to keep the first fraction the way it is. I'm going to change the division into multiplication, and then I'm going to flip the second fraction to its reciprocal. Okay, so now we're going to multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and we get 22 over 10. It's an improper fraction, so we have to see how many times can 10 go into 22? Well, we know that 10 times 2 is 20, with 2 left over. Now, here's a scenario where we can actually take our mixed number and simplify it even more. Okay, so I'm going to bring it up here. Technically, that's our answer, but it can be simplified again. 2 over 10 can be simplified. What is something that can go into 2 and 10? We're going to simplify this. I know that 2 can go into 2 and 10. So that's going to leave us with 2 divided by 2 is 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So my final answer is going to be 2 and 1/5. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and copy down this problem as a nice example for your notes, that would be a good idea. So you can pause the video and copy that down. All right. So let's go ahead and look at a word problem. We love word problems, right? Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and look at it. A box of snack-sized cracker packs weighs 28.5 ounces. Each snack pack weighs 4 3/4 ounces. So think about it like this. We have a big box of snack-sized cracker packs. So the whole thing is 28.5 ounces, right? I'm just drawing a picture here so we can visualize what we're looking at. And each of the cracker packs, okay, there's going to be a lot of them, but each of them is 4 3/4 ounces each. So if we want to figure out how many snack packs are going to be in this big box, we're going to use either multiplication, division, addition, or subtraction. So just think about it this way. If I'm taking a whole of something, a whole box, and I'm dividing it up into smaller smaller pieces, then that means we're going to use division, right? But we got to make sure the order matters. So we got to make sure that we're dividing the whole box of crackers by how much each snack pack weighs. Okay, so now that we have our problem written out, we're going to go ahead and solve it. So I have mixed numbers here, but of course we remember that we can't leave them as mixed numbers. We have to change them to improper fractions when we're trying to divide or multiply. So I'm going to go ahead and change these mixed numbers to improper fractions. So remember, we have to multiply the whole number by the denominator. So 28 times 2. All right, 28 times 2 is going to give us 56. And then we add the numerator to get 57 over 2. Okay, let's go ahead and get 57 over 2. I'm going to have divided by 4 times 4 is 16 plus 3 is 19. Okay, so now we got to use our steps to solve a division problem, which is going to be keep, change, change. So we're going to keep the first fraction the way it is, 57 over 2, change the division into multiplication, and then flip the second fraction. Okay, so now we're good to go. Now we can multiply straight across the top, straight across the bottom, and I'm going to get 57 times 4 is 228, and 2 times 19 is going to be 38. Now this is a big scary number, so we know we can't leave it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it over here, and we're going to find out how we can change this improper fraction into a mixed number. So 228 over 38. We want to see how many times can 38 go into 228. Let's see. It can go in perfectly 6 times. I just did 228 divided by 38 to get 6. Okay, so your answer here is 6 snack packs. That's how many snack packs can fit in the box, okay? So if you want to pause this video and go ahead and write this problem down, you can. Make sure it's in your notes. This is a really good example. You don't have to write down the word problem if you don't want to. But yeah, let's do one more. All right, so a soccer team has 16.5 boxes of wrapping paper left to sell. If each of the 12 players sells the same amount, how many boxes should each player sell? So here we have, again, we have a scenario where we have 16.5 boxes. So let's pretend that they're all in a bag. I have 16.5 boxes in this bag. Okay, and there's 12 players. So 12 players are going to take equal parts of all the boxes that are left over. So that kind of signifies what every player is going to take. So when I'm taking a whole and I'm dividing it up into people, into parts, into groups, I'm going to use the division operation, right? So let me go ahead and get rid of this. We have all the room we need. So that means I'm going to take 16.5 boxes and I'm going to divide it up into 12 different parts. So now that I have my division problem, I know that I can't really have a mixed number and a whole number and divide easily. So I'm going to make sure that they're both in fraction form or improper fraction form. So I'm going to make sure to change this mixed number into an improper fraction. Okay, we've talked about this. We're going to multiply the whole number by the denominator. 16 times 2, which is 32. Okay, plus the 1 gives us 33. Which means that our new improper fraction is going to be 33 over 2. And it's still a division problem because all we're doing is kind of changing the look of our fractions and whole numbers to all look the same, to be in the same form. Now 12 is a whole number, so how can I change 12 into a fraction? Some of you guys might think, oh, I can put 12 over 12, but that actually is one whole. And our problem says divided by 12 players, not one player. So when you want to make a whole number into a fraction, you got to put it over 1. So I'm going to put it over 1, and this is our new problem. Now we have to follow the steps that we learned and divide. So now I'm going to keep the first fraction. All right, I'm going to keep the first fraction as 33 over 2. I'm going to change my division into multiplication, and I'm going to flip the second fraction into its reciprocal. All right, so now I'm going to multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom. And I'm going to get 33 times 1 is 33. And 2 times 12 is 24. Now, hopefully you guys are recognizing this is an improper fraction. And we don't really like to leave our answers as improper fractions. Technically, it's not wrong. That's the right answer. But we don't like the way it looks. So we're going to try to make it a little prettier. So we know that 24 can go into 33 one time, right? With how much left over? 9 left over. Now hopefully you take a second and you look at that and you see that 9 over 24 can be reduced. All right, so let's see. We're going to keep the whole number the way it is. You know, it's still 1. And we're going to say, okay, what can go into 9 and 24? We can simplify this fraction. The first thing that comes to my mind is 3. 3 can go into both, right? So 9 divided by 3 would be 3. And 24 divided by 3 would be 8. So each player would get 1 3/8 boxes of wrapping paper to take home and sell. All right. So if you guys want to take a second and copy this example down for your notes, this might be a really good reference for you later on. And that is all we have for you. So hopefully it was super duper clear and you're understanding what's going on. If you have any questions, please send us an email. Do not hesitate because we are here to help you, and I will see you for the next video. Bye!